So then, by popular demand, I'm making this video. So hello and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. So yeah, by popular demand kind of, I'm making this video. I done a video about a week or two ago now, where I said I talked about albums I really wanted, new studio albums I really wanted in 2020. And a lot of people in the comments wanted to talk about reissues, which is just as exciting, of course. You know, because my favourite period of music is definitely that late 60s, early 70s stuff. And that is the period of music which is all coming up for its 50th anniversary stuff now, which is very exciting. So I'm just going to be focusing on stuff that's coming up for its 50th, can't talk. I'm just going to be focused on stuff that's coming up for its 50th anniversary. Now, there's a couple records here I'm not including, like the Kinks album that come out that year, just because I don't have it in general. So I thought it's a bit hypocritical of me going, yeah, I really hope it gets a reissue. I actually don't even have a copy of it. Another one I wanted to touch on was Atom Heart Mother. I do have that on CD, but not on vinyl, and my CD box set is tucked away up the top of my shelves. And yeah, call me lazy, I couldn't be bothered to get it down. So Atom Heart Mother by Pink Floyd is, I'd like to see a really nice reissue of that this year as well, but I don't have a record here to show of it. So these are records in my collection where I'd really like to see a 50th anniversary of it. So again, you know, there's going to be stuff here missing that people are going to really want to see. These are just the records in my collection, records which I love, that I'm hoping get a really nice treatment this year as it's the 50th anniversary. So let's have a look at the ones I got. In no particular order as well, I just want to say. And also, before we get started, because I'll probably forget to mention it, I mentioned this in my last video, I finally started a podcast, which is something which I've always wanted to do. But talking on the radio and talking in podcasts and stuff, that's always something which has been almost, you know, not to sound kind of sappy here, but a dream. I've always been better at talking into a microphone and in front of a camera. It's just something I've always wanted to do. I'm so excited to finally be doing a podcast. I'm doing it with my good friend Ryan. We're talking about movies, old movies, new movies, and we're going to get people involved who listen. First podcast is out there on Spotify and a streaming site. I'm going to leave links to both of them in the description. We also have a Facebook page, so if you want to get in touch with us, ask us to review things, look at certain films, I'm going to put a link to the Facebook page in the description as well, so please get in touch with us. The podcast, you know, I have two YouTube channels and my podcast now, but I'm going to push the podcast as my main thing now, because it's something that I've always wanted to do. I love listening to podcasts. I'm so excited to finally be doing one. So please, you know, please check it out. I'd be forever grateful. The links are all there in the description, guys. If you do check it out. And if you do check it out, please let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. Like the page. Go let us know on Facebook what you're thinking and whatnot. I'd be forever grateful. It's called Off to the Movies. And there you go. Okay, there's my little plug for that. So let's get started with the actual topic now. So here we go. These are the, I don't even know how many records I've got here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10. I might as well just call this top 10 50th reissues I want to see in 2020. That's in fact that's exactly what I'm going to call the video. Not in no particular order though. So here we go. The first one up. This is an obvious one. It's the last time we're going to get a 50th anniversary for this band, and that is the Beatles. I can't believe it's 50 years ago that their last album came out nearly, and that of course being Let It Be. Not their best album, but not their worst. I really enjoy this album. Of course, this album's been reissued a few times already. Is it in dire need of another reissue? No, not at all. But neither were the last ones. Abbey Road, Sgt. Pepper and the White Album. But the Giles Martin remixes on them are fantastic. And I'm hoping that Giles Martin's going to do this one. I mean, this is the only Beatles album that wasn't produced by George Martin. So this one was Phil Spector, of course. So I'm pretty confident Giles Martin will still do a little remix for this one, which I hope he does, because I've loved all three of his remixes. I think they've all been brilliant. So really looking forward to that. I'll probably get the vinyl set of that with the bonus stuff on, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the bonus stuff they chuck on there, because you know, I always listen to them once and then go, yeah, but I'd much rather, if I'm going to hear Come Together, I've heard the demo. Okay, now I want to hear the normal version, and I'm probably never going to want to hear the demo again. So, yeah, it's, I love the girls' remixes. The demos, they're kind of a play once and done for me. Next up is one of my favourite albums of all time. This is my top 10 albums ever. This is Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. This is an incredible album, double album. It's technically Eric Clapton's second solo album. I know it's Derek and the Dominoes, but it's kind of a Clapton solo album, even though, he, you know, let's be fair, he's not the only one that does all the lead singing and stuff and all the lead guitar playing on here. It's a mixture. It is a band effort, but this album is kind of treated as almost a solo Clapton record, because Derek and the Dominoes have only done this and then a live album. It's the second one after his self-titled, which came out the same year, which is also a good album, but not as good as this. This is why I'm holding this one up. Yeah, you know, this album's just fantastic. And I have got a nice copy of this on a back-to-back vinyl, which is a really nice pressing. And I know that there's a mobile fidelity out there of this, but I'd like to get a really nice box set or something this year for this album, because there's loads of outtakes and stuff, and I know I just kind of said I don't really care about listening to, like, the Let It Be outtakes that much. But I find this one because it's, you know, they're a great rock blues band. I'd love to see the jamming sessions and stuff. I think that's really interesting to listen to. Hearing Clapton wail on the guitar, I think it's always been something that I love listening to. So there's that. Next up, we got the man who stole the world, Mr. David Bowie. Yep, we're entering Bowie's. I mean, of course, he had when his first album came out? 68, 69? Might have even been 67, the self-titled one. I don't know. So Bowie's already had a couple albums which have hit 50, but I feel like Space Odyssey was the first one, the first proper Bowie album that hit 50. And now, of course, we're on to The Man Who Saved the World. This is a great album, of course. I really enjoy this record from start to finish, pretty much. I don't really think I need anything too fancy from this album, like a box set. I think maybe next year with Hunky Dory, and then maybe with Ziggy Stardust, I could see a nice box set for those two, because they're both incredible albums. This one, though, maybe just a nice reissue, although this is a reissue, remastered heavyweight 180 gram vinyl from 2015. So it's only been 5 years since it did last get reissued. But, hey, hopefully we'll get a nice special one or something for that. Now, I'm sure this has probably been reissued. I'm pretty sure this has got a mobile fidelity as well. This is New Morning by Bob Dylan. So Bob Dylan had 2 albums out this particular year. This one and Self-Portrait. Self-Portrait is a very well-hated album, I've been led to believe, but I kind of enjoyed it. I remember listening to it going, oh, I enjoyed that, and then going online and reading reviews of it, and like, oh, okay, I'm in the minority. But New Morning is the better of the 2 albums. You know, most famous song on here probably, it's got to be If Not For You, which was covered by George Harrison and Olivia Newton-John. Personally, my favourite version of it is George Harrison's. But yeah, this is a really cool album. It's a good Dylan album. It's not his best, not his worst, but I really enjoy this record. Again, like the Bowie one, don't need a box set for this. I think just a really nice pressing of this album would be nice. I'm pretty positive there is already a reissue out there of it, but I'm not sure when it's from. Hopefully another one would be nice. Speaking of George Harrison's cover version of If Not For You, here we go, All Things Must Pass. This is the first solo Beatle album I'm going to talk about, because believe it or not, I think all of the solo Beatles actually had, all of the Beatles had great first solo albums. I really do believe that. Even Ringo. I'm not going to talk about Ringo's in this video. I didn't pull it out because, I didn't think it was quite up there with the level of greatness here. But I really like Ringo's first album, actually, Sentimental Journey. I'm gonna give that one a nice shout out and say, you know what, even though it's not here, I have it in my collection, but even though I haven't pulled it out to talk about it, I'll say I like that album. I wouldn't be upset to see it reissued this year. I'd like to see a reissue of it, and I actually probably would pick that up. But anyway, I didn't pull it out to talk about, but I pulled out the other 3. So here's the first one, All Things Must Pass. Now, not only is this an incredible solo album from a Beatle, it is my favourite solo Beatle record ever, period. I think this is the best album to come from any of their solo careers. All Things Must Pass is fantastic. This album has been reissued to death, though. It's got so many reissues. I've got 2 in my collection. In fact, I think I've got 3. I got the one that came out in 2001, 2002 with the funky, colourful cover, which is really nice on vinyl. I got the Apple Years CD box. Then I bought where it's reissued in there again, I got the George Harrison vinyl box. And I know that the Dark Horse records in that were remastered again since the Dark Horse Years box. And I also am thinking off the top of my head that maybe the Apple ones were up to a little bit as well. So I think I've got, 3 reissues of that already. So it doesn't really need reissuing again, but I love this album so much that if they reissued it again, I'd probably get it. I probably would. Depending on the price, of course, because if they do like a 6 vinyl set and it's like £150, might be a bit much. Right, so Mr. Elton John has started hitting his 50th anniversaries as well. He did last year with Empty Sky. I think that was 2019, its 50th anniversary anyway. And this year he's having 2. The other one being Tumbleweed Connection, which is also a great album. I really enjoy it. A real nice country twist there to that album after this album. But I pulled this one out to show. I think this is probably the slightly better of the 2. This is the self-titled album, which everyone thinks is Elton's first, but Empty Sky, of course, came out just before this one. Really been into Elton John lately. It seems like the whole world has, actually. A lot of my mates have started listening to him lately. And I'm going to be honest, it's because of the film Rocket Man. Give us a good film like that on some of these other artists as well, if that's what it takes to get young people listening to... I say young people like I'm old. I'm only 22. But it's like, I think all these artists should get a film like Rocket Man, if it's what takes people of my generation and younger, that I'll say this time, back into these great artists. Because I think that a lot of people my age, they've just come to love Elton in the last year because of Rocket Man. And I think they do the same with McCartney, if like a film come out on McCartney's career as well, for example. Not saying that people my age don't listen to him, they do, but just saying to get more people listening. Anyway, I'm getting off track. This is a really great record. I'd like to see a nice... Again, I'm going to go with that kind of Dylan vibe I had with and the David Bowie one. Just a single LP, real nice reissue, crisp sounding would be nice. Although I know this got reissued, I think in 2017, maybe 2018. So maybe another reissue of that is a little bit much. Next one up. Now this is a reissue I'm holding up. I do have an original, but this was in 2014. I don't think we're going to get this one. I think this one's pushing it. Because they've done such a nice job remastering these, as it is. But I'm going to hold it up anyway, because it's such a good album. Led Zeppelin 3. Yeah, we don't really need a reissue of this. These are pretty damn perfect. But I'd love to get a reissue of it. I don't actually. I don't know what I'm talking about, because that reissue is great. But I'd like to see it get something released this year to celebrate its 50th. Again, that one is probably the least important one that I've shown today, and I'm going to show, because that reissue is fantastic. Okay, 3 more. Solo Beatles, here we go. John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. Those early Lennon albums needed reissuing so bad, and they done a great job on them with the signature box sets, the CD and the vinyl, and it sounds fantastic. But I still think that the remastering could be upped a little bit on some of those earlier albums. This and Imagine. I still think that there's room for a little bit improvement on those remasters. They sound fantastic, don't get me wrong, they're like 8 out of 10s. But I'd like to see it get another remaster, and this time for it to just sound perfect. So, Plastic Ono Band, really, really good album there. Hopefully we'll see a nice product to do with that come out in 2020. Some of these might have been announced. I'm pretty sure Let It Be has been announced, or people have found... it's already massively rumoured. Plastic Ono Band might have been announced as well. This one is kind of like Led Zeppelin 3. Not important, because we've already got a great remaster of it. And it is Paul McCartney's debut solo album. This is McCartney. Yeah, we already have a fantastic remaster of it where... I can't remember when it came out. I think 2011, 2012 maybe. This got remastered. And it sounded absolutely incredible. Like, I think the best remastering jobs I've ever heard, Led Zeppelin, the George Harrison vinyl set, and the Paul McCartney archives. So this one sounds absolutely incredible. Does it need anything else done to it? No, not really. I'm just holding it up because I'd like to see this album get a bit of attention this year as it's turning 50. And I don't see people talk about this one as much as the other solo Beatle debuts. I think I've honestly heard people talk about Ringo's more, which is weird. But I love that album. Next one up, this one here has already got its 50th reissue announced, and you can already pre-order stuff to do with it, which I'm very happy about. So this is kind of cheating, but I'm going to show it anyway because it's a very important album and one of the best albums from the year 1970. And that is Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Yeah, this is a really good album, one which I've come to love over time. It's not one of my like top 10 records ever, but it's an album I really admire, and it's a record which is turning 50, and there's already some pre-orders up there for it now, so I'd recommend going and pre-ordering that stuff. I know I'm probably gonna get a reissue of it because I don't have no great sounding copies of this album in my collection. I have my original, I have a Japan vinyl, and that's it. I don't even have it on CD or anything. So I like to get a nice, real crisp sounding copy of this album. So I would probably pre-order the reissue. I think it's on gold vinyl, and there might even be like a nice little set you can get or something as well. But yeah, very cool. But that is it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know that a lot of you, you know, people are obviously just as interested in new stuff as they are old stuff. I've talked about new stuff that I want to see, and now I've talked about some old stuff that I want to see come back in 2020, which excites me because I think we're likely to get about probably half that pile reissued really nicely. I think the ones we're not going to get, I think the ones we are likely and not likely, very likely, Eric Clapton loves to reissue stuff. Probably unlikely there, I'd say. I think we might get a Dylan one. I think we might. Unlikely. I wouldn't be surprised if Helen whacks out a nice big box for that or something. Very unlikely. Likely. Unlikely. And happening. So yeah, you know, there we go. I don't know what else to say about them, but that's my little sum up of my 10 albums that I'd love to see reissued. That come out in 1970, so their 50th anniversary. Absolutely crazy. Here we go. We're roaring into the 20s, and before you know it, we'll be doing 1971 50th reissues. It's crazy. But anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and please check out the podcast. As I say, I'll be forever grateful. But that is it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. Bye-bye.